What up, YouTube? Darth Dub coming to you with another Redstone video. This one's going to be basic how-to. This is like your preschool beginner level. I'm going to tell you about the basic components and basic use of what they do. We'll amplify the level as we go on, but what I've got here is your basic components. You got Redstone Dust, Redstone Block, Redstone Torch, Redstone Repeater, Redstone Comparator, Piston, Sticky Piston, Dispenser, Dropper, Observer, Hopper, Trap Chest, Redstone Lamp. The note block, I went ahead and threw it in components because you can it does something when you give it signal, and it also can be read with the comparator. Daylight sensor, powered rail, activator rail, detector rail. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take these two out. The powered rail, though, you can send signal using that just like dust. Some people like it better. I don't really do it. Weighted pressure plates, which I just played around with. Regular pressure plates. You got a lever. You got buttons. That's your components. Now I bet you thought we were going to start out with redstone dust, but actually we're not going to start out with redstone dust. What we're going to start out with is we're going to start out with buttons, levers, and I forgot one, pressure plates. Okay, so a button, you push a button and it gives power for a moment, and then it takes power away. Lever, you switch it, it throws power. You got to switch it back off to remove the power. Pressure plate will give power until you get off of it. Now, wooden pressure plates and wooden buttons, see, I'm not prepared for this, but wooden pressure plates and wooden buttons can be activated using other means as well. If you got a bow and arrow, you can activate either of these, and on a pressure plate, wooden anyway, you can just drop an item on it, it'll go off. Not the same with a stone pressure plate. Next we're going to do, you guessed it, redstone dust. Basically what you can do is, if you give power to redstone dust, that's sending a signal. The signal strength, full power, you get 15 out of 15 blocks that it goes. That's 15 signal strength. This is the 16th, you get nothing. No power, but power. So the next component we're going to go over is a redstone torch, and what it does is it gives power, a full charge, and if you it takes the opposite charge of what the block it has on. So this block here has no charge, that torch is on. Now you power that block, that torch is off. Remove power, the torch is on. That's what's called inverting. And next is the comparator. So you've got this redstone line that's on. This is 15 away, so this suddenly loses strength there. What you can do is you can throw a repeater down, and that reboots the strength. It restores the strength to full, and now it goes another 15 blocks. And then if you click on the repeater, that means that when the signal hits it, it takes just a little bit longer to put the signal out onto this next line. Next, we're going to talk about the comparator. And there's a lot that can be said about the comparator, and we're only going to do a little bit of it here. Basically, you got a box with a comparator out the back of it, or you can put a block in between the two if you want, so you can, not be seen. You throw items in this block, you get signal out the back. The more items you put into the chest or the container, the more signal you'll get out the back. And a comparator can also, if you feed a signal strength into the back of it here, it'll take that signal strength and put it out the front. You can also run a signal into the side of the comparator to lock it, but if you put it into subtract mode, you can then subtract the signal that you put into the side from the signal that's into the back, like so. Next we're going to talk about pistons. Pistons push blocks. This piston here has 12 blocks right there in front of it. It just pushed them. 12 is its limit. That's 13th block. It will not push it. Sticky pistons are just pistons with a slime ball on them, on the front of them. Basically what they'll do is they'll push just as well as the piston pushes, but they'll bring the block that they're attached to back with them. If you use slime blocks in conjunction with the sticky piston, you can then move up to 12. If you accidentally get one more than 12 connected though, it does just like the others when they're 13. Next we have a dispenser and a dropper, and you can look at the front of them to tell which is which. The dispenser has the regular circle, and in the normal Minecraft texture pack this one has the half circle. I placed arrows in the dropper and in the dispenser, and what I got going on here is when you push the button on the dispenser it'll shoot an arrow, and if you push the button on the dropper you get the entity where you can just pick it up and it won't hurt anybody. Same thing goes for anything that can be shot as a weapon. Same thing goes for mob eggs. If you put a mob egg in this and spit it out, the mob will be spit out. If you put it in the dropper and do the same thing, you'll just get the mob egg back. One thing about the dropper though is that if you place a chest in front of it and push the button, it places any item that you give to it inside of that chest. Next block we're going to go over is the observer. Now the observer can be used in any number of ways, but basically what it does is it detects a block update, and what a block update is when anything happens in this block. Now this looks like a face. It observes what happens right in front of it, and this right here is where it gives out power. And so anytime you change the state of this block, it gives a little boost. If you see out the back, I place that redstone, there it goes. Place anything there and it does it. Put another, see, they just go back to back in a feedback loop. Door, open the door, close the door. I don't understand that, but so yeah, so it detects block updates and spits out the back. It can also be moved with a piston. The next item we're going to go over is the hopper. Okay, now a hopper is not really a redstone component, but it can be used to make a lot of different redstone contraptions. So you got this chest here. It's directionally dependent. You have to crouch to place it into the side of something like a chest. You place it there, you see how it kind of faces in. Well, now you can open the inventory to do this, or you can just toss an item on it and it'll pick it up and throw it in that chest. And you can make a line of hoppers, and then you can throw that item in there and it goes through all the hoppers and ends up in the chest. Next we have a trap chest. You can see this got this little red doohickey around the mechanism there, whereas a regular chest does not. It's not red. So, and what a trap chest does is it gives redstone signal when you open it. See how it powers that line when it's open? Next is a redstone lamp. That should be pretty self-explanatory. If you give it power, it lights just like a lamp. Next we have a note block. And a note block makes a sound when you give it power. And you can touch it by left clicking to change the tone that it gives when you give it power. And if you change what block you have underneath of it, it'll also change what instrument is being played. So let's put wood under there instead of stone, and it sounds like it's playing a harp or something. Next is the daylight sensor, and it does like you think. It senses when it's daylight and gives a charge out. Now, depending on the amount of daylight you give it, it has a different strength. So that strength will change as the sun moves through the sky. And you can set it to where now it has to be dark to give signal. And now it's glowing. Okay, one here that I probably should have gone over before that I haven't yet is a redstone block. If you put together 9 pieces of redstone dust at a crafting table, you'll make a redstone block. And what it does is it just gives full power to a line all the time. It can be pushed by a piston to be moved out of the way and to be reapplied. Now, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people quite versed in redstone use powered rails instead of redstone dust. I don't know how to get it to work, but there are others who do. And last, and probably also least, we have the weighted pressure plates, light and heavy. I have absolutely no idea what you would use these for. I'm sure you could use them. The heavy looks like iron, the light looks like gold. And I mean, if you want it purely for aesthetics of stepping on the pressure plate, it will give 1 signal per step on, so you could throw your line underneath and then a repeater off of that and it would activate. You can throw a torch off of this block to activate it as well. But also the amount of items that you throw on top of it will give it more charge. And we're not talking about small amounts of items either. So that's still on 1. Throw a whole stack. 2 stacks on the gold pressure plate give you 2. Okay, so it looks like each stack on the gold pressure plate will give you another line or another piece of dust. So the heavy one I know is nowhere near that. Let's 11 stacks. So I throw 11 stacks on there and I finally get another piece of dust powered. Once again, I have absolutely no idea what kind of contraption you might use this for, but I'm sure you can think of something. Alright, if you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, tell your friends about it, have them watch as well. If it taught you anything, you want to learn more, I'm doing another video in this series. It will be more so on how to actually run the redstone lines, the ins and outs of doing that. It's a little more complex than you might think. And then after that, I think I'll make a video on a little more in-depth on some of these components, because there are some of them that are pretty, yeah, pretty in-depth. So, yeah, see ya. Peace.